Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism. Today we're going to take on an interesting ideas. What do you do with those feelings when the narcissistic person you were with jumps into a new relationship? Now this video is going to take on some stuff that's relevant to healing, so you know I'm going to get in my little plug. Please do consider, if you were looking for that deeper dive on healing, joining our healing program. If you are seeing this video this month in September, the discount code, go to the video notes. But I'd love to have you join it. Deeper dive on healing. Let's talk about healing in this situation now. What do you do with those feelings when that narcissistic person jumps into a new relationship quickly, usually pretty soon after you end, and tells the world that the new person is the love of their life? Has this happened to you? I'd love to know. If you have, drop in the comments. Has it happened to you, or are you afraid it's going to happen to you? Because it doesn't feel good. You're with them, it was complicated, but they go meet someone else fast, and they might have even been with them before, and it's the love of their life. So let's set the tone. You're in a relationship with a narcissistic person. The relationship ends. Very quickly, or even within a few months, they enter a new relationship. Well, of course, they're narcissistic, so they can't not be noisy about it. So it's all, I finally met the love of my life. So this is what true love feels like. I finally got my love story. I waited my whole life, and finally, I have real love. You hear this or you read this, and it feels awful. You may even be glad the narcissistic relationship's over, but it still feels bad because you once heard those same things from them. So that leaves you in a position of, was it never real with me? Or even worse for some survivors, what does this new person have that I don't? Many people will say that these public proclamations of once-in-a-lifetime love story that they see their narcissistic ex doing can really ping on that whole idea of feeling not enough. Intellectually, you may even think, great, now they're your problem, new person, and not mine. But there's something about having your history with someone invalidated. The disconnect can feel unsettling. Obviously, there are layers of this. If you still had hope for the relationship or still cared, then when this happens, it can be utter devastation. If you are done and somewhat indifferent, but have, for example, children together, and your co-parented children are having to see this, it can kind of be awful to have to walk children through this and to accept that your narcissistic ex and co-parent is so unempathic that they wouldn't care about harming their children, who of course the narcissist believes their children should be so happy for them that who cares if the children are a little unsettled by their parents' brand new shiny love story and their makeout pictures on social media. And if you are done and indifferent, well, then that's probably the best and the easiest. But after a while, the sort of wincing faces of people that feel bad for you, it may get on your nerves. Again, the reason they do this has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with the narcissistic incapacity for intimacy. Their intimacy is shallow, is focused solely on what it does for them, what it gets them. And so every new love story filled with excitement and fresh new supply, it's their new great love story. So when this feels just awful because it is unjust, is when they roll into a relationship that gives them the supply that they want. The new partner, who, I don't know, maybe has lots of money or is much younger or has a nice house or something. Because no matter how much you genuinely love them, and you did, the idea that they could trade it all in, trade a life you made with them for the thing that ticks the boxes better for their validation, it's absolutely devastating. And again, like I said, for survivors it plays into an I am not enough mindset that often even predated the relationship. So what do you do when they say, I finally found my true love, right after leaving a relationship with you? Number one, however you need to do it, even repeating it over and over again, you got to remember this isn't about you. You were supply, and then you weren't supply, and they always get tired of supply. And that said, you're wondering, How am I supposed to survive this phase of their great new love story? The grandiosity makes for a short memory. They are reacting to what is in front of them, something new. They did the same with you. It's not personal, even though it feels deeply personal. This takes a minute. And so you need to, number 2, be with the hurt. There will be grief in this process. You may think, oh, you know what, this fool isn't even worthy of my grief. It's not grief over them. It's grief that a process you cherished, loving another person, was wasted on a person who wasn't worthy of you, who was so shallow, who could be so ignorant of your feelings. All of that hurts. Be with that pain, therapy, self-compassion, trusted friends, other supports, all of that helps. But the only way out is through, and that means this is going to hurt. Number 3, get the hell off of social media, please. It's so easy. Instagram is basically a glorified shopping mall these days, and Facebook is basically comprised of the conspiratorial rants of your unhinged friends and relatives. It's not good for you to see any of that. And the narcissistic person needs to broadcast their grandiose nonsense. I have no idea if a tree falls in the forest, whether it makes a sound if no one is there. I do know that if you don't have to see BS on social media, in a way it kind of isn't there, and you can focus on your healing. I understand if you need social media for your business, that's fine. Then block or fool with the settings so you don't need to see brand new love story posts that hurt. Number 4, if you have them, protect your children. If this is relevant, you got to do it. What does that mean? Clean up your kids' social media feed if they're old enough to be on social media. Be the one who brings consistency into their life, because the flights of fancy and the new great love relationship for your ex means that your ex is now going to jet off to a tropical locale on the weekend of your children's school play, or will flake on custody weekends, or leave them unsupervised while they canoodle with their soulmate. Be present. Ensure that you have school and other significant events wired. Maintain their routines, and ensure that if you're able to hopefully get the clearance to do so, if you're co-parenting, that your child has access to mental health services. The narcissistic parent may be insistent that the children love their new great love, and children may struggle with this on multiple levels. Protect your children from the make-out pictures, the bikini shots, the vacation shots, the muscle shots, and the other things that may make them uncomfortable. Is it fair that on top of all else, you're having to act as a sentry to protect children from the ex's inappropriate behavior? No, none of this is fair. But being present for your children and being consistent is everything, especially in the midst of this circus. Number 5, the injustice piece is so tough. Intellectually, you know that this will end up being the narcissist's new great love story that ends, but it does still feel unjust. While you may be grieving a relationship and they are in Hawaii with their once-in-a-lifetime love story, it hurts. Just like all pain, it's going to sting, it's going to hurt, so let it. The one advantage we have when it comes to heartbreak is time. The vast majority of folks start to right themselves with time, and this too will pass, with the added bonus that for narcissistic folks, all things bright will eventually fizzle, and that's going to happen with this too. Just don't let yourself get hoovered, right? Narcissistic folks live in a fantasy world. Fantasies of endless success, fame, fortune, and grandiose romantic love stories. It's why they often get married so many times. And even when they're getting married for the 10th time, they still have a big frothy white wedding with multiple wardrobe changes. They need the spectacle. So it's really about the spectacle, not the companionship, the consistency, the respect, the compassion, the mutuality of regard, the growth, or the kindness. These are typically photoshopped relationships. Grieving a broken heart is the most human of experiences, and one of the more painful ones. It is made more painful when the object of the broken heart is denying the experience you had. Your reality was different, and you lost your reality in that relationship. It's painful to be reminded of that, even in the aftermath. And then as you heal and are able to get more detached, there will come that moment when their greatest love story, love of my life, soulmate goes kaput. Grab some popcorn with some schadenfreude sprinkled on top and breathe into the predictability of these personalities and your resilience in the face of it. If nothing else, I hope this video is a validation for those of you going through this. It's real, it hurts, and nothing I or anyone else can say can change that. But also, it's a reminder that for narcissistic folks, my great new love is just code for a, look, I got new supply. I hope this is helpful, and thanks again.